There's usually a difference between perfection and reality, and they usually never cross paths. You usually don't see the perfect scenario unfold, and then you have a realistic scenario that has to happen. So, what is the perfect scenario for the college football playoff committee if all five favorites do win this weekend? And what is the realistic scenario for the college football playoff committee? Let's talk about it. If you are new here, welcome on into the channel. My name is Cole Thompson. I'm a radio show host based in Houston, and I talk college football daily. So if this is the type of content you enjoy, smash that subscribe button down below. Leave a comment telling me your thoughts on who are the four most deserving teams to make the college football playoff, the four teams that should make the college football playoff, and the four teams that you just want to see in the college football playoff because it's your playoff scenario. Tell your friends, your family, your sister, your brother, your mortal enemies, best of bros, workout buddy, entire church congregation, fraternity brothers about this channel. And as always, let's continue to talk college football. By the way, if you like this type of content, make sure you give me a follow on Twitter at Mr. Cole Thompson. Go hit that Elon Musk app, X, whatever it's called at this point, at Mr. Cole Thompson. Give me a follow, and then hit subscribe over here on YouTube. So let's just say all five teams do win. Let's just say that in Las Vegas, Oregon gets its revenge against Washington. Let's just go down to Arlington and say Texas does dismantle Ollie Gordon and they beat up on Oklahoma State. Let's go over to Atlanta and say Georgia handles business against Alabama. Go over to Charlotte and talk about what happens if Florida State beats up on Louisville. And then we go to Indianapolis to close things out, and Iowa gets its wings clipped by Michigan. What's the perfect scenario? This is where it gets interesting. Because a perfect scenario and a realistic scenario, they're not going to cross paths on this one. Because it all comes down to me, the way you look in the game. That's the main thing for me. I don't think that we have to worry about Georgia and we have to worry about a team like Michigan. Those two, they did their job throughout the regular season. At times, one of them, if not both of them, look like the most complete team in college football. And in my opinion, there's a reason why they're the two favorites to probably hoist up the national title this year, because they look like the two best teams. So we'll just take them out of the conversation. They go in at number one and number two. But let's just say Washington doesn't win. I mean, Washington holds its own against Oregon. And let's just say Oregon wins by a touchdown. And let's say that Ollie Gordon does go off in the fourth quarter like he has all season long, except against UCF, and they don't get the comeback, but you win by a field goal if you're Texas. And then let's just say Louisville, of all places, they keep it close, and they have one bumbling play, and Florida State capitalizes, and they walk away with a 3-point victory. Well, in my case, I give the nod first to Texas. I give it to Texas over Oregon. I think Texas has had a better strength of record. I think Texas has had a better strength of schedule. I think that they have the most dominant win in college football this year, and that would be against Alabama. They would have played against multiple ranked teams, just like Oregon, but a lot of these teams are still ranked, like a Kansas State and like an Oklahoma State. And so I think Texas, even though they have, at times this year, looked like a cat with 9 lives, and they've just kept crossing each one off, and this is the last one to where they're not going to be able to hold their own in the playoff, whoever they face off against. If they win, I would give them the number 3 seed. And then the number 4 seed, I would give to Oregon. Because if you're playing close against a Louisville team, as much as I think Florida State deserves to be in the college football playoff for being undefeated, the perfect scenario is that Oregon has looked like the more complete team. In the way that they have played defensively, in the way that they look offensively in the trenches, with Bucky Irving, with Bo Nix, with Tez Johnson, with Troy Franklin, with a very good tight end, with really an excellent play design by both Dan Lanning and Will Stein, the offense coordinator, and how they've handled business against everybody. Home, away, neutral site location, that would be the 4th best team in the college football playoff. Those are the 4 best teams, in my opinion, at that point. Michigan, Georgia, Texas, and Oregon. And if you really want to, go ahead and mix it up. Say, okay, well, Georgia only won by a field goal against Bama, and Michigan dismantled Iowa. Okay, cool. Switch them if you want to. It doesn't really matter, in my opinion. But that's probably not the realistic scenario. What the realistic scenario would be, in my opinion, Florida State does get in. And then you have that conversation between Texas and Oregon. And a lot of people right now are saying Oregon does control its own path to the college football playoff. A win Friday night, and they are in. I don't think it's that simple. I really don't. I think that when you look right now at Texas and you look at strength of record, strength of schedule, most dominant win, most ranked wins, and the way they play on Saturday against Oklahoma State, I honestly think that you would get Texas in over Oregon. That would be the realistic scenario. And it would stink for the Pac 12 because the Pac 12, in my opinion, has been one of the most dominant conferences in college football all season. They have been phenomenal when it comes to trench play, they have been phenomenal when it comes to quarterback play from really everybody. And they've really done a nice job of giving us a swan song farewell. A lot of people are going to miss the Pac 12, yours truly included. I will miss the Pac 12 like crazy. And it'll stink that they're left out. But I just look at Texas and I look at the way they played and I look at the way that they've handled business and the way that they haven't been able to Texas's the way in years past. They've kept their season alive. It's hard for me to say that they won't be there. It's really hard for me to say that they would not be in if they were to win on Saturday. And this was the scenario. But I do think that Texas actually would jump Florida State. So what I mean by that is that Florida State, even if they were to win by like a field goal or by 4 points, they would get in, but they would be the number 4 seed. I don't think that you're going to see any of them move anywhere past 4. I think even though they would be undefeated, it would be a very similar scenario to a few years ago, like last year, where TCU was the number 3 seed, even though they didn't win their conference championship. It's the same thing. They would be in at number 3. So that's the way that I view this thing, is that when you look at these teams right now, Georgia is in. Winning, you're in. Florida State, win, and you're probably in. Michigan, win, and you're probably in. And if I were to have a vote, I'd give it to Texas. Do I like it? No. I think that actually Oregon's been more consistent. But I look at the numbers and I look at the resume and I look at everything else that the College Football Playoff Committee has written down in its bylaws, and I think Texas would get the nod. That would be, in my opinion, the most realistic scenario. But the perfect scenario would be absolutely Florida State is left out. It's unfair. It's unjust. It's not right for Florida State to do everything possible and watch their season collapse at the last second. And everyone in college football will agree with you. I don't think anybody out there who is actually a true fan of the sport would say, nope, Florida State, yeah, you're more than just Jordan Trout. Nobody is going to say that. What they're going to say is that in a perfect scenario, you look at the way Oregon plays, you look at the way Texas plays, you look at the way Florida State plays, and then you look at Michigan and Georgia. Probably in that scenario where everyone's close, you would give the nod perfectly, in a perfect scenario, to Georgia, Michigan, Texas, and Oregon. But that's probably not the case. What probably is the case is that Florida State does find its way in. And at the end of the day, I'm not envious of the College Football Playoff Committee at all in this year. This is why I understand why we're going to expand to 8 teams. Because if there ever was a season to use it, we're going to go back into the bookmarks and go, 2023. That was the year we needed to get expansion. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching that video. Don't hit the X button yet. Make sure you hit subscribe to keep up with all of our daily content found on Just Saying It and anything else that we post on this channel. Bye.